Battlefield 6 vs Battlefield 2042, the bright new hope for a franchise versus the love letter to the fans that horrified them. Split across 6 categories: map design, gunplay and movement, visuals, audio, atmosphere and immersion, plus user interface, and the best bit is you can play along too. Use EA supporter creator code GetGoodGuy when purchasing EA products. Map design first. My god, what an opening massacre this is going to be. Let me make this very simple. Battlefield 6 has solid maps. It's early days, but at least we know there's some variety. There's some flow, there's cover to use a lot of the time, and the maps look nice. Low bar, but that's all we need so far. BF 2042, what the f*** is this? These maps were so bad, they had to be reworked while the game was out. And you know what? They're still some of the worst maps I have ever played in an FPS game. Can you imagine streaming this game and going from this abomination to this abomination? And then the game goes, alright, sweet mate, produce some entertainment from this. We've got flat, flat, and more flat. Enjoy dying to snipers from above and constant death from air vehicles, pal. What a great experience. When doesn't Battlefield 2042 have that problem? Well, when it does the literal total opposite and has the literal total opposite problems. Because Happy Middle Ground doesn't exist, of course. No, you get Open Wasteland or Corridor Simulator, where everyone stares at a doorway and throws explosives until boredom takes hold, then you sacrifice yourself so you can feel something again. It's pretty clear that I'm heavily leaning towards Battlefield 6 already here on our first topic. We're going to grade each topic out of 5 for each game, so make sure you're calculating your own score as we go along. BF6 maps get a 4 out of 5, BF 2042 maps don't get a point. Literal 0. I'd be insulting myself by giving them anything at all. If you agree with me so far, you'll subscribe and help me get to 100k subs, right? Good, thanks. Next up, gunplay and movement. Main point, it's actually fun in BF6, which is a huge deal.
That'll do.
But more specifically, in Battlefield 6, everything feels somewhat grounded, weighty, and in some regards, at least loosely, connected to reality. Weapons look and sound like they're being fired. There's some visual kick to the animations. Your running gives you the feedback of doing so. With a wide field of view, it can look like you're traveling quickly, but Battlefield 6 actually has slower movement than we're generally used to in the Battlefield franchise. And the jumping and sliding is effective, yet toned down to avoid spamming and fantasy level movement. Not so in Battlefield 2042. Sure, there are moments that make it all look like it's fun.
110 meters into the scrap. Reloading. About time.
Which beats a lot of my stream viewers into thinking they'll have a blast if they jump back in again, but in reality, there are infinitely more moments of boredom and frustration.
Oh, that is an exceptional spawn. Excellent.
So in BF 2042, in my opinion, everything feels floaty. There's an inertia issue as you sometimes end up going off the end of ledges, even when you very clearly intended to stop, and feel as though you would have been able to in another game. Running around can feel like you're skating, like we're trying to make the Mighty Ducks with guns rather than a war game. Aiming also can be floaty, and there's just a general feeling of inconsistency.
What the hell did I aim at there? You get no aim assist from this far away, but I lock onto that guy over in Outer Mongolia.
Which makes everything less satisfying, less controllable. That weight that exists in BF6 gives way to weightlessness in BF 2042. Gunplay is extremely simplistic, and there's an issue with there being not enough variety between a lot of the guns in terms of how they feel, sound, and what they do. Battlefield 6 gives me a great feeling of fun, satisfaction, and a skill gap when it comes to gunplay and movement, which BF 2042 simply doesn't. Where BF6 feels like a premium title, BF 2042 always gave me free-to-play vibes. Like, stats don't matter when compared to fun, but to back up my point, I can play shooters relatively well. I was running a 3 KD on this game, recently down to a 2.9 due to immense struggles of late, and yet these days, so many times I feel like I literally can't get a kill. No chance of winning a 1v1. It's as if sometimes I'll turn the game on and everything is fine, and other times it's been preordained that I simply will die on repeat with no real indication as to why. I don't know if this is to do with ping or netcode or memory leak or what, but I do know that it sucks. And I'm also essentially forced to deal with crossplay being on now as a controller player with broken inputs. Like, I've recently resorted to turning aim assist down due to just not being able to get on and stay on the target because the aim assist bubble seems to hold you off, which is totally backwards. And I hear that mouse inputs as well aren't that good or weren't that good or whatever, so who knows anymore. It just sucks. I'm going to give BF6 a score of 4 for this one, and BF2042 gets a 1. A pretty big gap between the quality provided by either game again, to put it lightly. And you can have more content like this right now produced, plus cheat sheet guides for weapon builds and tip lists for easy access on the GetGoodGuy Patreon for as little as $5 or pounds or whatever a month in the description. Thank you for your support. Next up, visuals. Whether it be aesthetics, graphical quality, or basic visibility, it falls into this section. And Battlefield 2042 falls flat on every single one. Aesthetically, this game delivered nothing. Unimpressive from a distance and simply poor from up close. The large scale of what was trying to be achieved with team sizes, map size, and wild inclusions such as the tornado simply left the game needing to be hugely scaled back in terms of visual quality. Not to mention the fact that it also had to be designed for old gen consoles. It looks bad on both versions and ran appallingly badly on old gen at release. I don't have anything positive to say about how BF 2042 looks. Again, free to play vibes, and not at all an example of what you'd expect from this generation of games. Where visibility is concerned, this is regularly an issue within the Battlefield franchise. When it comes to seeing the enemy, it's helped by the very clear red markers on enemies in 2042, but without them, there are many occasions that players just don't stand out that much against the environment. A near total disappointment across the board. What a sad time to have eyes. As for Battlefield 6, the difference is night and day. The game looks good, it's up to modern standards, old gen has been left behind and gone are the wild team sizes, there's genuine graphical quality on show, and boy was this step forward needed. There really isn't any comparison to be made other than to say BF6 blows BF 2042 entirely out of the water here. Enemy visibility can still be an issue as always, but overall, BF6 picks up another score of 4 out of 5 here, whereas I give 2042 a 2. It's not an embarrassment on the level of something like the Golem game, but it's poor. And if 3 is like a mid-level achievement, then 2042 has to fall below that. 2 seems more than fair. On to audio now. BF 2042 sounds fine. As in, as you're running around, the game doesn't sound like it's playing the wrong effects, and nothing obviously wrong is happening. But I find there to be drawbacks to the more specific elements of the sound. Like gun sounds don't sound impactful. They're kind of toyish, unfulfilling a lot of the time. They don't give you an adrenaline injection of any kind. Also, vehicles can sometimes get right near you and you just don't really get much of an audio indication of their arrival. Footsteps, I just find them unhelpful half the time, or more. Sometimes hearing them as if they're close when they're fairly far away, sometimes not really hearing them, and frequently struggling to simply work out the specific direction they're coming from.
Infantry, 130
Bye bye, my boy. I hear footsteps. They were behind me?
It's still kind of lackluster and at times frustrating. Plus, I thought the theme tune for BF 2042 was just bad. Really wasn't into the music on this game, and that's a shame because generally Battlefield has great music. BF6 though is a step up. Jets flying over, RPGs being fired, there's more punch to things, more small wow moments. Footsteps still aren't great though, but explosion sounds are great and there's a lot more to grab you from an audio perspective. I also think gun sounds are a little better, but not on the level of Battlefield 1 as an example. The theme tune though is back and it's hitting hard. So BF6 picks up its first score that isn't 4, I'm going to give it a 3 for audio, and BF 2042 comes in with a 2. On to atmosphere. Alright, neither of these games are the atmosphere king of the Battlefield franchise, Battlefield 1. But put extremely simply, one game has atmosphere and one game doesn't. Battlefield 6 puts you inside a battle. Explosions, destruction, smoke, rubble, all the points about audio and visuals combined, the intense firefights, the way the game sells the experience to you, it's all genuinely solid. Battlefield 2042, none of that. Nothing, zero. Take your big open fields, your insanely bad voice lines,
Hard work pays off sometimes.
and the total lack of any feeling of polish, and you get yourself a 0. Yep, score already decided, nice quick one, 0. This game is anti-atmosphere. It actively removes me from the experience. BF6, back to the 4 scores, a 4 out of 5. It's not top tier, but it's good. And now, UI or user interface. Battlefield 2042 UI makes me sad. The color cyan just doesn't work for menus and labeling, it's too jarring. The layout of the menus themselves can be subpar. I still sometimes screw up going through my loadout, trying to select my class or specialist or whatever, my weapons and then the attachments, all separated, all different inputs and tabs. Nothing is quick, nothing is intuitive, all micro stress points that just add up. BF6, better. It's not groundbreaking. It's actually no more than a little bit better than average in a lot of ways, but it is solid. I dislike the menus for the settings and such, but the in-game UI is decent enough. Fairly unremarkable, but serviceable. I'll give it a 3 for BF6 and another 2 for BF 2042. Do you have your total score ready? Put it in the comments below. My final scores are 22 for Battlefield 6, and for Battlefield 2042 we have a final score of 7. That's out of 30, and I hand on heart think that's a fair score for one of my biggest ever disappointments in video game history. Whereas Battlefield 6 looks set to give us real hope for a banger few years. I hope you enjoyed. Patreon in the description to support for more content like this being produced, and YouTube is suggesting another video of mine that it thinks you'd enjoy right now. I'll see you over there.